If you're in St. Louis, there's all kinds of impressive engineering to see, from the riverfront to the ballpark to the Gateway Arch, but maybe the most significant piece of civil engineering history is this bridge. This is the Eads Bridge in St. Louis. Believe it or not, this was the first large steel bridge ever built in America, and also the first major bridge to span the lower Mississippi. But what makes it especially historic is located 100 feet below the river. You see, the reason why it's hard to build big bridges across large bodies of water actually has less to do with the spans and more to do with the foundations. It doesn't matter how long you can make a bridge if there's nowhere to put the footings. James Buchanan Eads was a civil engineer who was largely self-taught. He spent much of his childhood on this river, including working as a salvage diver recovering old shipwrecks. His experience with diving bells had convinced him that it was possible to do work on the bottom of the riverbed. A diving bell is when you have an open bottom container, stick it with a lot of weight on the bottom, pump a bunch of air inside, then you can go inside and walk around on the bottom of the river. Now this work is unbelievably dangerous, and it turns out that going down into compressed air and then coming back up over and over again is really bad for your body. But despite these early primitive attempts, this is essentially the same way we build deep bridge foundations today. Captain Eads loved this concept of a diving bell and thought he could take it a step further. He came up with one of the first large-scale uses of the caisson, which is basically a giant one-time use diving bell that you stick on the bottom and turn into a foundation. First, the open container box is sunk onto the river floor, and then those workers hand dig the bottom of this caisson, allowing it to sink into the mud. You then build the foundation above it, and using this technique, you can get 50, 75, 100 feet below the river. And some version of this technique would continue to be used all through the 20th century on virtually every major bridge project. And it was done here in St. Louis first by Captain Eads.